Hey guys, today I'll be doing a review of the Doctor Strange Omnibus Volume 1 by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. It collects the first appearance, the first creator run of Doctor Strange, the Marvel character. So he first appeared in the Strange Tales anthology series by Marvel Comics. Initially, it was the Human Torch in Doctor Strange, and then it became Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, and Doctor Strange. They sort of split the book. In any case, the first omnibus here collects numbers Strange Tales number 110 and number 111, as well as numbers 114 to number 146, as well as the Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 2. So it's a lot of issues, but like I said, they're kind of like half issues. He gradually went up from like 5 pages of story content in the Strange Tales book to up to 10 or 11. So, yeah. So what can I say about Doctor Strange? You probably know him, at least from the movies, as the mystic sorcerer. Definitely an out there character, especially for the time of publication during the 60s. There wasn't much like him in the comic space. And there's a pretty good introduction within the omnibus. I think his name's Dean Mullaney. And he points out that Doctor Strange kind of occupied his own separate sphere within the Marvelverse. He didn't really interact much with other characters. And the kind of stories he had and the problems he was dealing with were kind of, I guess, like clandestine, I guess you would say. Kind of in the background, kind of divorced from the rest of the universe. Yeah, I think another great point in that essay was he calls him Doctor Strange an existential hero, and sort of points out that he was the first among Marvel characters to sort of choose his own powers, in the sense that the other characters externally have their powers happen to them. Spider-Man gets bit by the spider, Hulk gets gamma rayed, the Fantastic Four gets space rayed. Like, their powers just happen to them usually, and then they choose to be heroes. But Doctor Strange chose to be a hero and then got powers. I guess that's just an interesting point, something to think about. So let's talk about a little bit about, I guess, like what the stories are kind of like. So like I said, they initially started out very, very short, 5 pages about, and to that end, they, I guess, could be construed to be quite wordy and compressed. A lot's happening. And they usually, did the full nine, sometimes 10 page panels, 10 panel pages to get the point across. Right, so Doctor Strange mostly fights villains, mostly 2 villains, Dormammu and Baron Mordo. And about half this book is one storyline, and it's Fallout, where Baron Mordo and Dormammu team up. Yeah, so I guess that's good to know. It's like a mega storyline. It's kind of crazy. The stories are not that complex, because like I said, at best they're at half issue length. And I kind of wonder if that constraint permanently, I don't know, stunted his character. Because it seems like, I don't know how you'd study this. I just find it interesting, how much the origin point or the inception of anything really kind of influences heavily, especially in the creative type comic book sphere, the entire course of their future endeavors. Because Doctor Strange gets lots of, there's common complaints against the character, that he can basically manufacture a spell to get himself out of any situation, which is kind of true. I guess, but I mean, it's not that much different from Reed Richards creating a machine or something to save the day, even though he doesn't actually do that often. But anyway, the Doctor Strange's powers are I don't know, vaguely defined, the scope of them, which kind of makes writing for him difficult. So it seems like a lot of the stories then are depowering him or finding ways to nerf him as his character developed. or even within the story, I guess it's like it's like the first beat of the story is always like how to get Doctor Strange in a predicament in the first place for there to even be a story. And some people think Doctor Strange as a character just doesn't have that much depth, and I wonder how much of that can be ultimately attributed, or his like lack of like, I guess, uh, I don't know, notable rogues gallery of villains. I wonder how much of it could be attributed to like his limited space for like the first couple of years of his existence, sharing a comic book with another character. I don't know if like that felt like permanently like held him back. I have no idea. In any case, yeah, the stories, like I said, are relatively simple. Doesn't mean they're bad. I mean, they're definitely interesting. I mean, they're light, but they're fun. And like I said, nothing had been done like Doctor Strange before. He was completely zany. The artwork by Steve Ditko was surreal, absurd. Yeah, hopefully I'll be flipping through here and you'll see some of it. Um, yeah. All right, so I guess I'll talk about some of like the characters. So the cast of characters, like I kind of alluded to, is kind of pretty limited. We have Doctor Strange. We have Wong, who kind of like just makes, I don't know, a handful of appearances. We have Clea, who shows up early on but doesn't get named till pretty much the end of the volume. I guess making appearances for years in between her first one and actually like getting a title. We have the Ancient One, Doctor Strange's teacher. There's Baron Mordo, the Ancient One's former chief student and like arch enemy to Doctor Strange. He's kind of maybe too much of an idiot. He's kind of like notably stupid. Then there's like Dormammu. Yeah. As well as occasional villain Nightmare. But also, like I said, the big story arc culminates in the introduction of the character Eternity, and much of the lore, like the cosmic hierarchy type stuff, wasn't really invented yet. So Eternity just kind of looks cool. He isn't much explained or have much of a function beyond that, as well as like the Sorcerer Supreme type stuff. That stuff didn't really exist yet either. Doctor Strange is just like master of the mystic arts. He doesn't like have a fancy title and all that. It is cool seeing him slowly get like the elements of his costume. He didn't have them initially. He kind of looked lame, but then he slowly becomes like he gets this sort of iconic look that he has in popular, I guess, like memory over time. I guess now to transition a little bit to like some of the meta stuff I was talking about. I guess I don't know. I guess the problems. I guess like some personal problems I have with Doctor Strange. I guess. Here, let me sit up like a slouching. So I guess like some of the personal problems I have with Doctor Strange, I just don't really understand. I guess like two major things, and because I don't know, they're big in the stories, it's kind of like critical. It's that I don't really understand like the whole dimension thing, and he constantly goes to different ones, and I don't really understand the concept of like magic itself. I guess it's like an inherently vague term, but I think when I was looking into this, I saw like one answer in Quora that perhaps like the more precise explanation. Or I guess like definition, or I don't know what you'd call it, title. It's not really dimensions that Doctor Strange is going to. I guess the more technical term might be like pocket universe, because it just doesn't make much sense. Like where like the state, I don't know. Anyways, I guess that makes more sense to me. They're not really dimensions, but they are all called dimensions. Like it doesn't make much sense. I don't really understand dimensions in fiction, like at all, for the same reason that like doesn't makes sense. In any case, and then the magic thing. like what is magic? What exactly is like going on here? It's especially pronounced like within the story because they occasionally try to like contrast like master of the mystic arts versus like scientist supreme, or like magic versus science, sorcery versus like the empirical stuff. Like it just doesn't make sense. I mean, for us, magic is like us reading the book. Magic is basically like anything that doesn't actually happen in the real world, but within the story, when they're trying to pit like magic versus science, it doesn't make sense because like if magic was real, then it would basically be subject to like the scientific method or the scientific like hypothesis. It'd be like integrated and like understood within like science. So it doesn't make much like make much sense to like pretend they're like two completely distinct things. Like science is like an approach to like scrutinizing our interpretation of reality. And so if magic was like repeatable, observable, I don't know, you could like form hypothesis about it and test stuff like that. It would basically it could become a science. Like it doesn't make much sense to like, I don't know, pretend they're different like within the text. Anyways, I think like the best explanation would almost be kind of like the Star Wars type of one where it's like magic's like some sort of like force that they're tapping into or whatever. And maybe there's like a genetic component to being able to do that. I don't know. Okay, that kind of makes sense, I guess. In any case, I don't even know why I'm talking about this. I should probably be like reviewing the book. Okay, so I don't think I said what the actual book looks like. I think I showed the dust cover. Hopefully, the book itself, I think it has a really nice contrast. Underneath the dust jacket, it's completely black, and then just the Doctor Strange lettering. I think that contrast looks really nice. On the back is the Eye of Agamotto. It seems well made, I guess. I think it's considered one of the thinner omnibi that Marvel has put out. Yeah, I guess I don't really even know like what else there is to say. I feel like I've basically said everything. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Should you read this? If you're interested in the Doctor Strange character, he hasn't had that many runs in general, and I'm pretty sure this one's considered like the best one. Maybe for all the reasons I kind of like was talking about earlier. I'm not sure. I don't know. Or if someone can explain like dimensions or pocket universes or whatever, or like what magic even is, feel free to like leave a comment. I might have been rambling and triggering people. I have no idea. Um, I guess there's really not that much else to say. Um, yeah, well, I guess thank you for watching. I hope you have a good one.